Dominic, always with the camera. How's the lighting, honey? Does that look all right?
Oh, you're backlighted now. You want to...
Okay. All right, let me read. There's a lot of instructions.
I wouldn't think of sitting in front of your camera.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay,
Don't
can
worry.
everyone hear me?
No.
Okay? All right, don't be wiseacres. First of all, honest to God, I'm so moved. First of all, the way you spoke was so beautiful. That introduction. Where did the professor go? What are you doing back there? You're going to sneak out. You got papers to grade or something, right? No? I have to talk to you later. Very important. I don't want to forget. In fact, you can connect with my sister Tony right there. I brought my sister Antonia, and I'd like to introduce you. That's my sister, and then my trusty assistant Kelly Meehan. I get all my assistants from St. Mary's until I got Allison von Grosbeck, who's at the New School Studies. She's going to be a theater producer, and she was from St. Gertrude's. That's Elaine Martinelli, better known as E. We met at the Cosby Show. She's now on Nurse Jackie in Rubicon. Kenny of Books and Greetings, and his trusty sidekick manager Michelle, who's fantastic and had her hair blown out for the occasion. Which for Italian girls is an important thing. I know I don't do it either, but you know, you look good. We need to talk afterwards. I was very moved when you were speaking because I am aware that there is a very serious conversation going on in the intellectual Italian community, one of which, look at you, you look like you could be in my family. This is so incredible. Tony, you have to see this man down here. He looks like you could be, yeah, I know. There's a conversation going on. There are two things in the New York Times this morning that I want to point out. One is that Italian has now back in the AP courses across the country. Did you know? Oh, good. It's okay? It's big. It's bigger than French. Yeah, that's a big one, right? French. Which is a huge leap forward. And then the other thing that I read that I thought was pretty incredible was that grandparents are helping raise children now. That grandparents now in this country, and the percentages will blow your head off, are raising children. Well, this is something in the Italian community that isn't anything new. Right? We always had the nonnina in the kitchen, and we lived together, and you know, it's very interesting because both of my parents came from very tight-knit families. My father really, in Rosetta, Pennsylvania, where Queen of the Big, you know about Rosetta, that's the town that they studied where no one died from heart attack, and yet they smoked, drank, worked in the quarries, and the women worked. You know, women work and get blamed for everything. But Italian Americans know that it's absolutely the greatest thing we can do for our children is to work and then have that intergenerational interaction in the home so that the children feel supported. Okay, so that's a theme I love because it works. My mother's side of the family, parents emigrated, and they met in Hoboken, even though they were from villages in the Italian Alps 5 miles apart, you know, one of those stories. And he earned his citizenship by going to fight in World War I. And he was hit with mustard gas, and he only lived to be 39 because he developed cancer from it, as did all the soldiers in his platoon. So they had 3 children in the interim, however, and he had a really great, healthy life until he died. He got sick very quickly, and within a year died. But they moved to Chisholm, Minnesota, on the Iron Range. And there were a lot of Italians there, but there were also a lot of other immigrants. So my grandmother had that solid base in the community of Italians, and I talk about them, and who really became surrogate parents for my mother, her twin sister, and my uncle. So I have 2 experiences. I kind of have the enchanted Italian village in Pennsylvania, where my people who came from Bari banded together, and they came and they worked for the Welsh, and they built their little town, and the priest came in and he built this jewel of a place. His name was Father Ducci, and it really is enchanted. And now, of course, people have moved away, but you still feel it when you go there. And my father's buried there. He died a few years ago at the age of 69. So my mother's still kicking and doing great. So those 2 experiences really are the framework of my work. And it's so funny because I found it. I didn't know. You know, when you're a writer, you don't know what's going to appeal to you. And I just went with what I'm interested in, which is I love to snoop in my grandmother's houses. I love to know my great aunts and my great uncles and what they were about. I found them compelling characters on every level. And truly, any of them I could write a novel about. But when I first came to work in New York, I was a playwright. I'm still a playwright sometimes, and really wanted to make it in the theater. And when I couldn't make a living, two of my girlfriends got together and said, you know, you should write for television. And by a happy accident, I wrote for TV. But I was always taking this skill set, this humor, these values of my people and putting them in other people's communities in the most hilarious of ways. You know, I had a very patriarchal father, and he was a patriarch, period, and a little bit of an autocrat. And so that, you'll see, if you look at my resume, I wrote for family shows, or I wrote for shows where there were children and colorful characters. And then the idea of the novels evolved after I made the documentary. Now, I'm going to throw this open to questions, because you know I'm boiled with me already. And I know you, I really am, and I know you have questions for me. And the first and most important one is that I'm a bestseller because, and I've been very fortunate. Listen, they always hit the list, and I'm very excited about that, and they sell great. But it's always because I feel that I have this network of support underneath that comes from the Italian-American community. And everywhere I go, I see it. You know, Dominic Candeloro, I mean, he came screaming at me in Chicago. How many years ago was that, Dominic?
Oh, 3 or 4.
Don't move that camera, Dom. I'm turning it to you now, so you know it was you talking 3 or 4 years ago. So I've discovered along the way Sons of Italy, conventions, lodges, clubs. How about people that come up to me that are very, very, you would think, you know, that they were British, and you find out that their mother was Italian, and oh, it's just fantastic. So please, I'm going to open this up because I want to know who you are, and then we can really talk. Any questions? I know you have them. You see how I'm so not academic. I can't do it. I can't do it.
You always have to wait, because people have to think.
People have to think, okay, take it in.
Do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions for you?
yourself.
Well, for you, where are you from?
The Bronx
The
and
Bronx,
Bari.
absolutely, and Bari.
Bari.
What town?
Elefante, Pitetto, and Casano della Morch.
See, you know everything. And now, in the Bronx, did your people go to Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church up there?
My mother was baptized and married there.
Of course. Do you know Sonny Grasso? Half of the French
So
connection.
everybody knows Sonny.
The men in my family do, but I don't.
No.
What are you writing now?
I always ask when anybody's from the Bronx, do you know Sonny? And I've never had anybody know who is that. They always know him.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Memoir, fiction, TV, like where's your head at right now? Have you fictionalized memoir?
I'm in the middle right now of writing this book took me 3 years to write, to really distill it. This is the hardest book to write, this grandmother book, because it was really important to me to get it right, in my mind what was right. So it's 2 profiles, and then it's, you know, and I don't write nonfiction. I kind of learned on the job. Right now I'm doing a real big epic historical novel that comes out next fall. So my head is like in World War I. And I'm thinking a lot about that.
Did you have relatives that fought?
Yeah, my grandfather. And there are so many stories of, there's so many great stories to write. There really are. I'm going to run out of time to do them. But I'm right now really deeply invested in that.